everybody. Good afternoon and welcome in. This is Stick and Hack Reacts. I'm your host, Adam Grubb from Stick and Hack. That's Keith Stewart from ESPN Radio and host of the Pro Show and founder of Read the Line. Keith, a massive weekend. I'm going to react first off to my weekend because I don't like to make things about myself. You know that, Keith. But let's make a sideways today. My school here locally, Noblesville High School girls, won the state tournament. 4A, Class 4A.
Of what sport?
Basketball. Sorry, my apologies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right,
basketball. Thank you very much. It's
job.
Indiana, so that was basically the entire town was there, and it was like Hoosiers. It was fantastic. So we'll move on from that. I thought that might have been a great topic for us to start with, and obviously I was wrong. Let's move into golf with Keith Stewart. Sepp Straka.
I didn't know what sport it was.
Sepp Straka wins the Honda Classic, another first-time winner of the PGA. Austrian, he's a bulldog. He is he's one of those players that you've never heard of, despite his amazing name. Yet he came in when it counted most, and a great story. Daniel Berger faltered towards the end. He had a 5-stroke lead going into Sunday, and watched that dissipate rather quickly. Keith, your reaction? Another great drama-filled, theater-filled Sunday in the PGA.
Yeah, hey, 2 thumbs up for Sepp Straka, and here's why. Last June, I walked 36 holes with Sepp for final qualifying in the U.S. Open to get into Torrey Pines. A player of mine that I was coaching, we were down in Atlanta, just outside of Atlanta, a place called the Piedmont Driving Club, and Sepp was in the group, watched him for 36 holes, but more importantly, got to know the guy, and what an awesome dude. I mean, first of all, he obviously hits the ball unbelievably well. I mean, you look at his stats this week. He gained like 100 strokes on the field. He gained 5 off the tee, 3 from approach, 6 from putting. I mean, he did everything right, which at a hard golf course like Honda is why he was at the top of the leaderboard. And he closed with 3 birdies in 5 holes. But to get back to my point, the guy's a good dude. I mean, he was like really down to earth. He's from Vienna. At 14, he moves to Valdosta. I mean, think about that transition. I mean, what's your reaction to that? You get from Vienna, Austria, over to Valdosta, Georgia. I mean,
I don't understand. I guess where he came from to Georgia. Was it on golf? Was it golf scholarship specifically? Is that how he got there? Has he been playing golf his whole life? Has he been or is he one of these guys that found golf a little bit later and has just kind of made his way through the tour?
No, he had golf, but he moved over when he was 14 years old. So, and then from there, he just kind of took off. And he has a twin brother. They both played for Georgia, as well as pretty much everybody on the PGA Tour right now. But, he's I mean, the guy's he's just a really good guy. Right. So yesterday, when the heavens opened up and he hit the green in 2, and I was like, if my one and done Daniel Berger's not going to win, which he's not going to win because he totally just fell apart.
74, didn't he? I mean, it was not great.
But I mean, it was quick though. I mean, it was really quick. It was one of those things where he should have faked an injury, off the ball cleaner or something. I mean, it was rough. By 6 holes, he had lost his. So he had a 6-shot lead with 19 holes to go, and 7 holes later he was tied. So not pretty.
That's not good. So people like Sepp, though, those are not just great stories. They're people to keep your eye on. Or do you think Sepp is just going to be a journeyman? He's going to have a couple victories maybe in his entire career, or is he one of those golfers now that all of a sudden has found his groove?
Well, he's only played in 2 majors, right? So now he's going to get a taste, having won. I think he moved up to like 83rd in the official world golf rankings. So he's not getting into all the WGCs, but he's got a taste of a big win. So I think he's definitely one of those guys that is going to be a top 40 type guy with that level of confidence. Is this going to put him into the stratosphere? Probably not. The stratosphere is pretty high these days, Adam. But overall, a great guy and one of those people. I mean, he was 125-1 to win this week, and he won. Yeah. So he's just a great story. Much like Keith Mitchell was a couple years ago when he won at the Honda, his Georgia Bulldog teammate. This is what makes golf great. 125-1, and in 4 days, you put down $10 and you win $1,200. I mean. Yeah. It's just awesome. It's an awesome story, and congratulations to him and his family.
Let's move on. Number 2, my favorite topic, Greg Norman and Phil Mickelson continue to make waves, continue to make headlines here. We thought this was last week was going to be the last week we talk about the live entertainment thing. We thought it was dead. It still appears to be dead and continues to become deader Keith. However, Greg Norman said, hey, how are we doing with the live entertainment thing? And they're like, it's not great over there, man. He's like, oh, all right, I'll write a letter and I'll send it to him. We'll see if that sparks something. So Greg Norman writes this letter, okay, and sends it to the PGA Tour. Keith, you have a copy.
He sends it to Commissioner Monahan. It's awesome.
So you have a copy of the letter. If you would do me a favor and do us a favor and read the first line of said letter to Jay Monahan from Greg Norman.
Dear Commissioner Monahan, surely you jest, and surely your lawyers at the PGA Tour must be holding their breath.
We're not holding our breath, and don't call me Shirley. Keith, tell me why in the world this letter is scathing. Now it starts out like a fun little hate to your buddy about trying to make plans for the weekend, and it turns out to be a scathing diatribe and really this visceral reaction of what Greg thinks here currently is happening in the PGA.
I mean, this is like the Christmas card you sent me. I mean, it's brutal. It's just, he says here, yet for decades, the tour has put its own financial ambitions ahead of the players. And every player on the tour knows it. It shouldn't be called the Players' Championship. It should be called the Administration's Championship. I mean, it goes on and on. The best part is you get to the end, and he says, Commissioner, this is just the beginning. It certainly is not the end. Sincerely, Greg Norman. I mean, what? Bryson DeChambeau's not walking through that door. DJ's not walking through that door. And it seems pretty obvious that even if Phil is, nobody's walking through that door with him. So, right. I mean, at the end of the day, it goes back to last week at the Honda, 144 players, mandatory meeting on Tuesday night. Jay Monahan gets up, starts with a soliloquy and says, I am done with all these leagues. If you want to go play in another league, there's the door. So he called everybody out. This is no longer a bluff. This doesn't have anything to do with, hey, he said, she said, or whatever. There's the door. You can leave. And I go back to what Pat Perez said last week. If 30 guys leave, there's 100 guys that want their spot. So go be it. And heck, we just learned this week at 125-1, we have great players out there like Sepp Straka. So, and the guy's a compelling story, and he gave us great theater. So I don't know. I mean, you and I kind of thought this thing was dead. Obviously, Greg Norman didn't get the memo. He's sending his own.
It is not dead. And he said it. He said, you might think this is the end. It is not, sir. It is not. Sincerely. That's my favorite part of the whole letter is he bookends it with this kind of funny, like, hey, surely you jest. Ha, ha, ha. We're just having some fun here. Then just hammers home the atrocities that are inside the PGA, and then says basically a threat. This is not over. We'll see. I'll see you in court, sir. And then thanks, sincerely, very cordial ending. Because that's what people are used to writing is sincerely. No matter what you write ahead of that, if you write sincerely, oh, okay, well, he's sincere at least. He's trying to be. No, Greg Norman is he's lost it. And the funny thing is here, Keith, and funny is probably not the right word, is that he really hasn't been the main topic of this story the entire time. Well, nobody. He really hasn't. He has not had a press conference. He has not really talked about this. I mean, he has, but not in this way. He's been letting these other guys kind of dig their own graves, and then he realized that, oh, okay, that strategy backfired. Whoopsies. I know. Guys, relax. I got it. I'll write him a letter, and we should then, at that point, be back in business. He's lost his mind.
Hey, I mean, you know what? He's not the only one that's losing things these days. You want to talk about a guy that's getting buried left and right. My man, Phil Mickelson. Now, you have kids, Adam, so I think it's important that they read Phil's apology because this is exactly how not to make an apology. I mean, you could just go through the whole thing. First of all, he starts with his logo at the top of it, right? I mean, it's just awesome. Him jumping at the Masters winning. I'm sure the Masters loves the idea that there's a connection there, right? Yeah. He claims he's done everything in the best interest of golf. He blames the journalist for leaking what he said. He reiterates that there's problems with golf, right? Somebody needs to tell me what's wrong with golf right now.
All right.
You know, I mean, we have a $12 million purse for the Women's U.S. Open. You know, we have these great Monday Q School stories. We have a guy that's 125-1 win on the PGA Tour. We have the mechanic just winning 2 out of 3 events on PGA Tour champions. I mean, we have all these compelling stories. We have the LPGA over in Singapore. I mean, what more do you want? We have 50 million more rounds in 2020. And this guy, he claims victim status. That was good. I thought that was classy. The Saudis are visionaries. His partners, they're visionaries. I mean, it just goes on. And then he says, I'm having a tough time with life, so I'll see you later. Right? I mean, honestly.
Sincerely, Phil.
I'm just waiting. I mean, it's like 38 days till the Masters, and he says like, oh, I'm going to go to the Champions dinner. And Fred Ridley's like, hey, Phil, just why don't you ease back into this? We're thinking more like 23, 24. Yeah. As in 2023, 24 to come around. So, I mean, what do you think about him losing all these sponsors?
Well, that was the thing. So the end of this is, so he writes his apology, and use that term loosely. It should have been like, hey, I said a lot there. That was, boy, I lost my mind a little bit there. Apologies. PGA is great. Tour's great. I love you. I'm Phil. I won the PGA last year. Let's have a good day, everybody. Here's some coffee for you. Here's free coffee for everybody, right? That's an apology. That's how we go. Not what he did, which is the equivalent of, hey, I'm sorry that you're pissed. I'm not sorry about why you're pissed. And that's not an apology. So his top sponsors and the people that he's been associated with for years, including Callaway, who synonymous with Phil, said, whoa, we're going to pause this. This is getting out of control. You've lost your mind. We're going to pause. Now, left and right, other sponsors, small and big, have run for the hills from Phil. And it is yet another chapter in this quick story of putting something out there that you think is going to be looked at as neat, and that I'm Phil. So come on, follow me into the fire, has backfired dramatically. Now, the other side of that is this cancel culture at its finest? The guy said some wrong things. He was taken out of context or in context. We'll never know. It was leaked or it wasn't leaked. He was on the record. He was off the record. None of that matters. It's out there. He said these things. And now people are saying, hey, we need to disassociate ourselves from him. Some people claiming cancel culture. Enough with the cancel culture. It's not cancel culture if your brand, so you have a brand, I have a brand. If we have something that is associated with somebody who goes out and gets eviscerated in the press and in the public because of idiocy and denseness, I'm going to pull back. I don't want. You just said this a second ago. Augusta, the Masters doesn't even want their association with the logo. That most people probably still don't even immediately say, oh, that's the Masters when he jumped up 1.5 inches off the ground. That's not what it is. It's not cancel culture. It's business. And when you give somebody a bunch of money and you say, go represent our products, and then they represent themselves poorly, you have to pull back. What are we talking about?
I mean,
that's my reaction, Keith.
The guys that
of course that happened. Of course it did. Surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Correct. 100%. You know, I mean, how many NFL coaches get fired the day after the season is over? I mean, the fact that it took Callaway to get on a break with Phil like a week, it just surprises me. You know, it's a dumpster fire. You know, and I feel bad for the guy because it sounds to me of the whole thing in the apology is that I don't really feel bad for him because he's made some poor choices, but it sounds like he's got some personal issues beyond coffee. You know what I mean? Like he's got some serious personal issues, that something's going on there, and he's acting like a desperate man. And
I don't think so, Keith. I don't think so.
You know.
And what do I know? I live in a basement in Noblesville. Okay. But I don't think there's personal. That's what you say. That's part of your apology. Hey, I've got a lot. I mean, that's when you miss a deadline on a report. You say, I got some personal things going on. Sorry. People they're not going to challenge that. They're going to go, oh man, he must be really going through some stuff. No, I don't think he is.
Then how do you explain the actions of a lunatic? I mean, the things that he's doing just don't make any sense. You know, something's got to explain what's going on. And the only thing I can attribute that to is maybe that there's something going on in his personal life. You know, and I don't know any of this. I'm just saying,
Neither do I.
you know, I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the Greg Norman letter is an attack on the PGA Tour, right? Which we've known for 30 years, Greg Norman and the PGA Tour haven't gotten along. So there's no surprise there, you know, but what Phil is saying, and it's just two totally different ways that these guys are coming at it. And it's you can see why Phil's been totally canceled, because he should be. He's out of control right now. Again, he's the actions of a lunatic. Who knows what he'll say next, you know?
I thought you were talking about Shane there for a second. Producer Shane. But it turns out you were still talking about Phil.
Yeah.
I heard some keywords there, and I just associated with Shane. All right, let's go to number 3 here. I know that's a terrible way to end that. I don't know what else to say other than I'm sure we'll talk about it next week. Something will happen this week, and we'll talk about it again next week. Miguel Jimenez, Jesus, I can't even say his name, Keith. I'm so worked up over this Phil Mickelson situation. Miguel Jimenez wins again, but he does something bigger and better than winning.
Yeah.
He just kept hitting hole-in-ones.
Yes.
He just said, hey, you know what, guys? Honestly, this whole putting and chipping and all that stuff is annoying me, so I'll just continually hit it into the hole. He had 2 hole-in-ones in one round.
No, one tournament.
To me, it's one round. Okay, in any day, three day stretch. What are we talking about? Okay, that's a 12,500 to 1 that you hit a hole-in-one, and the guy hits it twice within 3 days.
Hey,
Can't be done.
So I started thinking about this because when he made his hole-in-one on Friday, the coverage, they said, "Oh, this is his 12th," and I'm like, "Man, 12? That seems like a lot, right?" So I started doing a deep dive on this. So I got to give my man, the mechanic, a big thumbs up here. The world's most interesting golfer. He has the all-time record on the DP World Tour, you know, formerly the European Tour. He has 10 career hole-in-ones. He had another one on the PGA Tour, and then he just had 2 more this weekend on the Champions Tour. He's got 13 professional in-tournament hole-in-ones. 13. 2 thumbs up. Big time. I mean, come on.
And so
Guy's a legend.
He's a legend.
He's a legend.
And he gets cooler by the second, because even his reaction was like, yeah, oh yeah, okay. So I guess I'll just go to the next hole then. I'll meet you at the next tee. He is his everything about him, from his hair to his stash to his cigar to his swagger to his aerobics pre-tournament, pre-round. And I was lucky enough to see him up close and personal at Firestone last year, and he is just as impressive from 5 feet away in his coolness. It did not let me down. He did not let me down. I've been calling him the Cowboy for a year and a half, trying to get that going, and get away from the mechanic and go to the Cowboy. So far, Keith, let's just let time tell, okay? But right now, there's 2 people calling him the Cowboy, and they're both associated. One is contractually obligated to, because he works for this company, and then the second is me. The Cowboy has that swagger, and hitting 2 hole-in-ones within a 3-day tournament, but winning again, and his coolness, thumbs up reaction all day long for Miguel, no matter what he does.
So here's a quick one for you, right? Big news this morning. I mean, it got leaked like 2 weeks ago, so it's not the world's most brand new announcement. But Zach Johnson is now the U.S. Ryder Cup captain over in Italy, right? But they have a lot of problems on the European side because of the whole Greg Norman Live Entertainment thing. You know, Westwood, Poulter, all these guys, Stenson, they've all been kind of attached to what's going on over there. Just get the Cowboy in Italy. Come on. I mean, the wine, the cigars, the cars, everything. He's got to be the Ryder Cup captain. Come on. I mean, seriously.
I don't know.
We're not the smartest ones in the room. That's Phil, right? So, like, someone's got to see this. The guy makes hole-in-ones. That's his job. And
Keith, thinking about him as a captain of that Ryder Cup, and he's just sitting on the cart, you know, just sprawled out on the cart, doesn't even keep track of what's happening. He just says, let me know how we did at the end of the day.
Well,
Let me know where we
he
stand.
can't even sit on the cart and rub his belly because he's got like a Cabernet in one hand and he's got a huge stogie in the other, and he's just looking
Right.
around like down his nose through like the $5 version of Phil sunglasses. It's unbelievable, and I don't see how anyone is. They don't see this.
No, no. Maybe this show will move that in that direction, and we can start a campaign. Maybe, hey, let's write a letter. Seems to work.
Sincerely, Adam Grubb. Who?
It's Keith Stewart. I'm Adam Grubb. This has been Stick and Hack Reacts, one of our finest shows to date. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll look at you next week with more reactions. Hopefully, nothing happens within the week of the Live Entertainment. We can have something just about golf and not the idiocy and theater that is off the course. Keith, enjoy your day, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Proud to be with you. Proud to know you.
All right, 38 days to the Masters, my friend. Let's go.